you know, do you get more angry when you're on gear? There is absolutely no scientific fact about that whatsoever. If you listen to Chris Bell say on Bigger, Stronger, Faster, if you were an asshole, you became a bigger asshole mentally because you were taking something, but it had nothing. It had to do with your mental capacity. It has nothing to do with what you take. And I know we got the bad rap from Lao Zato and all that bullshit, but there's actually no scientific evidence that proves that. If that was the case, why do they give AIDS victims and give kids with dwarfism and things like that growth hormones and steroids? They do it for a reason. Why do we give men who testosterone levels that are dropping testosterone shots? Because in essence, they need these things in order to bring their energy levels up, et cetera, et cetera. So the ignorant people out there to say it's all about drugs, it's absolutely wrong. Now there are some people who abuse this situation, and there's some people who don't. And we've had a couple of people this year who dropped out of Olympia, and for various reasons because they felt they weren't healthy. But I'm sure part of that was because when you do stuff like that, you push your body very hard from the diet standpoint, from the gear standpoint, and everything else. So there's a lot of things that goes into this than just taking a pill or sticking yourself with a needle or whatever the case may be. I mean, it could be her training, it could be her posing, it could be more things that's holding her back, like Isabel said, than just that. Do I agree with what Bob's saying when Julia and Daniel and Bailey were champions? Absolutely, because that was what women's physique was supposed to look like. And again, at the end of the day, as we're having this discussion, it basically boils down to judges. What are you doing? You're going right back to the days of women's bodybuilding when Iris and Chris Jashevsky and all these girls were going to the extreme to look crazy, and people didn't like that look, and that's why Bob said they got rid of it, right?
Mhm. Well, we
So
have a comment. Yeah, wait, oh, sorry. We have a comment here, and that's from my man. Oh, this is our guy. We have him here, my man. Balls deep in the house, schmo gang, 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 gang. So shout out to Balls Deep. Thank you for coming through, brother. Also, we have here. This is from Mason Thurman, and he said this. He says, so Bob basically admits that they don't care about competitors' health. He's laughing out loud. Well, I don't say they don't care, but they don't put as much investment like they should. Also, this is from
and that's not right, because hold on, that's not right, because he's the one who
He's
said
the one that doesn't like the
he
extreme.
doesn't does he's the one who doesn't like the extreme.
So he's the one that actually cares more than the judges do.
So he's the one who actually clears more than the judges do. That's why he wanted to change women's physique from women's bodybuilding for that very reason.
That's a wrong statement.
So that's a wrong statement.
yeah. And this is from my man Money J says, unfortunately, the bikini division category and wellness divisions are become more fundamentally more popular than ever. Figure, women's physique, and fitness. Yeah, I mean, yeah, because you look at now, you get more attention, and you also get sponsorship because Wolfpack put up like $4,000 the last couple of shows for first place of prize money, while some of the other divisions like women's physique, figure, and others maybe got $2,000 or $3,000, sometimes even less.
Well, why is that though? Because it's a more obtainable look than what
Basic look.
a basic look than what you have to go through as a figure, as a women's physique competitor these days, and as a women bodybuilder. And I hate to say this, but I call it, I've heard somebody say it's the basic bitch category. Where it is. It's like, that's why I'm pissed off that when I do a show and I have to wait 5 hours to go on stage because you got wellness and bikini in front of bodybuilding, when that's why it should be a priority. Here's the thing: when I'm on fucking stage and I get 60 seconds, but these girls go on stage and they get fucking 2 or 3 minutes to slowly walk, turn around, show their ass, that pisses me off. Seriously,
Calm down,
because there's no
big brother.
science that goes
Calm
behind
down.
that shit.
Yeah, yeah. Calm down, big
Seriously,
fella.
think
Take
about
a
it.
deep breath.
The last show I was at, RP judging started at 9:30. We didn't go on stage for 5 hours. 5 hours.
hmm Yeah, it doesn't make
Does that make
sense.
sense
How
to you
many
guys?
bikini competitors are there?
Hmm?
Too many. I just
No, I
sent
was
George a
asking
list.
how many bikini. No, I was
George, what
saying
was
I
the
was
list I
actually I
sent you?
wanted to ask how many bikini.
It was just too many, he said.
But here you go, Kay. I'll
Oh,
give you some. I'll drop some knowledge on you real quick for this Olympia coming up because I sent this to George, and I don't know, George, if you still have the list that I sent you about how many competitors. So this year at the Olympia, there are 55 bikini competitors, 27 figure, 37 wellness, 15 women's bodybuilders, 63 men's physique competitors, 63 men's classic physique, 19 212s, 19 open bodybuilders, and 19 women physique competitors.
oh, okay.
Yeah, because the list. Yeah, it's because he didn't push because I know well it's gonna be less than 19 because I know one physique competitor is not competing because she's hasn't those got a visit. I think it's 18 to 17 now, and then it would have been at least 16 if Nadia Capasolo didn't do the Europa show, and it would have been if Anastasia Levanova had competed, but she's not competing, so it's like 14 to 18, and then with the others, that's too much. But the problem is, it's the promoters. They're the ones who putting on the you got shows where you have just only men's classic, or just only bikini, or just only you know men's or men's physique, or just wellness. While the others don't have, other than maybe truthfully, the Rising Phoenix is the only show where women's bodybuilding stand alone. Arizona Pro, that's a separate show. That's the other divisions. But when you have promoters who put up shows but don't add any other divisions to it, when you also don't have that one or two divisions to it, and it's just it's crazy. Hello?
Yeah,
Yeah. Here we got a
yeah.
comment. Yeah, here we got a comment from a man, Money J. And he said this. He says, "We wouldn't have this conversation among us if Shanique Grant won back in 2020 instead of Sarah Vickers." And that's the point. Yeah, we wouldn't have, because I think Shanique had the look that was more aesthetically pleasing. Great look, femininity wise, great built. I mean, she was like some of the other girls. She was a figure competitor, but later she's made the switch to women's physique, and she did well. She won two titles, and then they switched from her to Sarah, and Sarah's a particular look where she's like more. I think if you look at her, I think you would say she's more closer to maybe when Linda Murray was competing. You know, her definition is just her body is just built a certain way. I mean, this is earlier in when she was competed at the Olympia. She was even, I think she never cracked the top 10 until a couple of years later, and then in 2020 she was in the top 5, and then next she wins the show. And her look, like I said, was a big fan of hers. I thought, if it was going with someone that was more aesthetically pleasing, more feminine looking, you go with Shanique, because you look right here, like
Put that up, boy.
yeah,
Smarty.
yeah, yeah. And right here, you have some like you look at someone like you have someone like Evie Rain, where she looks like she could win bodybuilding. Her lats are more developed. You look at Barbara Majan, you look at Shanique, you look at even Natalia at that time. Natalia wasn't as big as she was then. They was pushing for her to win that year, but you know everybody went with Shanique, and then Sarah just came out of nowhere. And if you look how it's evolved from when you had, Daly Bailey and Julie McCartney, how these women were a different look. They look more like, if you look at them now, they look more like figure competitors today than the physique women back then. I mean, it's steadily evolving and changing. And
Yep.
Julia, she had a very more, I think, with her look, she's very feminine, very attractive. You would think that they would want to keep someone just like that, because she stepped away because she wanted to have a family and she got married, and she wanted a kid. But it's just the criteria is each and every year, depending who's a champion, the criteria keeps changing.
Yep,
Oh,
I
yeah.
agree. And again, that is defined and dictated by the judges.
Hmm.
You know,
And
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 that's the
the judge.
problem. You know, you can control whatever you want, but they're not.
Hmm. Yeah, and the judges know the guidelines. They should stick to the guidelines, but they just
Hello.
they're switching up every so often. This is for a man. Shout out to my man. Money J again says, "When WPD wouldn't have become." Oh, I think I already posted that one. This is another one. He says, uh, I'm thinking because of Sarah Vilga's connection with the higher ups like Jim Manion, Tyler, to ensure her victory since 2020. It's not a far-fetched theory to some people if you think on it. Possibly because I think Warrior often mentioned that because she does a lot more stuff. This is from you know uh, Limbo, whatever his name is. I'm gonna say two. Shanique's physique was extreme too, though. I remember Dana Lynn and Julia McCarty complaining about how much more muscular she was. Yeah, but the thing is, if you're gonna complain about Shanique, they should, especially Julia. She
Well,
played a
that's why
part in
Dana
this.
Lane got out of sport because she didn't want to do all the fucking drugs.
Hmm. And also Julia played a part in it too
Yeah,
because she had a look that was attainable.
she
Then she
didn't want to do.
left.
I mean, a lot of girls didn't want.
Go ahead. What happened?
What'd you say?
What? Go ahead, because you dropped
Again,
out.
Dana said, I mean, when she became the first champion, she said, I am not willing to change. And guess what? Her net worth is worth more not competing now than it is competing.
Hmm.
But she
Yeah,
dictated her own rules, and that's what you have to respect about girls like her.
yeah. Yeah, like I say, she was the first champion. And that's was every, like a lot of ladies who do interviews, especially what interview physique competitor. That's the one person that said they measure who they wanted to be when they got into sport. But like I said, the sport has evolved. So there's some women who are at some levels just truly they look more. Like I said again, they're looking to a little bit more towards women's bodybuilding than physique. And the judges, they're supposed to be set the
Yeah.
guidelines and criteria. We're supposed to, like, if you get a girl like who has more conditioning in her back, who has more striations in her glutes, whose quads are bigger than it's supposed to be, then she shouldn't be placed in the top five or even the top three. You know, and this is one person I talk about quite frequently. Her
Yep.
physique is crazy, and that is Zama Benta. And Zama, she's on the way. I know I saw a post when she was on the way to Vegas. And if you look at her condition is just crazy. And this is supposed to be women's physique. And look at her shoulders and also her
Yeah.
traps. That's about as big as someone like maybe I would say Michaela Acop, or you know I would say she's not that far from um, Angela Yo. I mean, that's just where she's number three, and there's a possibility that she might be number two or even win the show.
I don't have any cash. Sorry about that.
Gentlemen, is my
Yeah.
anybody got the thoughts?
Well,
Well, for me, it's not that the
Again,
criteria,
at the
it's
end of the
not the,
day, what we're looking at is
Go ahead, Art. You already
well,
have time first.
for me, it's not the criteria is changing. They're not being
go ahead, Bart.
applied. They're not being applied. The criteria is supposedly set in stone. Like Bob said, you go over
Nope.
there and you take a look at it and you look at the criteria that they have. It's not being applied by the judges. It just simply isn't. I mean, the words, I'm even reading them right now. directly off of the NPC News Online page. Here are all the words that Bob was talking about that he put in the criteria what you're not supposed to be. Not supposed to be as a women's physique competitor. Ripped, shredded, peeled, striated, dry, diced, hard, vascular, grainy, massive, thick, dense, etc. Do words like ripped and shredded and peeled and striated describe Natalia? Describe Sarah? Do they describe? Yeah, it's like they're the criteria right there. They're not being applied by the judges. And then to show the inconsistency here, those are the written criteria. Then Sandy Williamson, you go on that page, it starts with a video, and the things that she's saying are in direct contradiction to the written criteria. So it's like you look at that situation, it's like, my God, if you didn't know any better about this and you look at it, it's like, of course people are going to be scratching their heads because they're just not consistent. A great example of that we've had this year, she just won the Daytona Pro and qualified
and you
for next year's Olympia. And
That's
it's
Romero.
Elena Romero.
But you can't blame the athlete because the athlete is only going by who the winners are.
Right, and Elena is an example of another of the inconsistency as well, because she just qualified. She insists on coming in really conditioned, and she's proven in the past that she can attain a high level of conditioning. But look at the shows. Look at the shows that she was in. Tupelo, and Tampa. She placed third, and Paula Ranta placed fourth. Both of them were more conditioned than the first and second placings at both shows. So, but now Elena comes in ripped again. Here she is winning the show and going on to the Olympia next year. How more inconsistent can they possibly get?
Yep.
It's a picture right here pulled up. This is her glutes.
Yep.
That is
right. It's like
instead of putting them in that place, you should tell them why they're
right. See, look at that picture of her back. If you'll scroll down in that picture in the middle, look at that. I mean, it's beautiful, no question. But again, the criteria says you're not supposed to be ripped, peeled, or striated. What is that? It's clear as a bell for all to see. Nobody is following the criteria. So the criteria is there. They're not following it. They're just deciding as they go along.
They're just picking and choosing what they want to judge. And then instead of just following the guidelines that's supposed to be purposely set, that's supposed to be the guidelines for the standard, for the division, they just keep changing like mid-horses. Like, you remember back in the day when you used to have the old Pony Express, where, you ride a horse till it's almost dead, and you jump onto another horse. And you ride that horse, you jump on another horse. That's what it is. It's just jumping from one horse to another. And, it's just, and I said some women, they complain about it, but the thing is,
exactly.
There's not much you can do if the judges don't listen to the competitors and they don't follow the old criteria that's set in stone. It's probably set in stone, these criteria, but I think it's set in sand, and just every time often just wipe it away when they want to change their mind.
Yeah. It's just a great example of that would be 2004. I probably mentioned this already. When they came out with the 20% rule, they said, okay, well, all the women bodybuilders are getting too big. We want to reduce their muscularity by 20%. That's 2004. 2005, Miss Olympia comes along. Yaxeni Oregon Garcia, one of the biggest, most muscular women on the planet, wins the title. According to the 20% rule, she should not have won. How does she get the biggest title there is if the 20% rule really was being applied? She couldn't.
Because the year before, Iris beat Linda, and Iris is the new champion. So she's supposed to come in as new champion, defend her title. Then she loses to Oxini, and then what happens, because she lost to Oxini, Iris had to step it up. So and she came in, I think, a little
And here's the
softer.
thing, and,
Right?
and, and Linda said that she was not willing to push herself. Linda said she was not willing to do that. And again, they kept making her champion after champion after champion after champion. And guess what? When you're the champion, why am I going to chase after the girl who in second or third and fourth place? I got to chase after Iris look because that's the champion. And if I want to beat the champion, that's the look I got to beat. That's why everybody's chasing after Sarah and Natalia right now. They're chasing after that look because those two are the two top girls of the sport. So if those two girls are the two top girls of the sport, of course, that's the look that they're going to be chasing after because that's how they're going to win. You're not going to win any other way because until the judges put them out of the first and second place, you're always going to be chasing that look.
Right. Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And like Art said, they made a prime example out of Iris when she had the hematomas on her glutes. So at the exact same time, if you're looking, you're scratching your head and says, well, why didn't Sarah win this year? Or why didn't um, Natalia win this year? The judges to walk over and tell them saying, again, we're changing. That's not the look we want. We need to dial this down. And maybe next year they come in softer and all the other girls come in. But until they do that, nothing's going to change.
I have a radical solution to that. That really does come
What?
out of science fiction. Um, and it is quite simply this: take out the humans and bring in the machines to judge the show. Because and bear in mind, I'm serious when I say that. Because from
Ah,
what I see of technology, we could actually do that. We have the technology to
you know what the
actually
funny thing is?
that a machine could actually do this. So, and that's it
Yeah.
comes from. I can explain it, but I'll just leave it at
Remember
that.
when The Rock
Is
wanted
that
to get involved in
I
this?
right?
What? What? Go ahead.
Keith, go ahead.
No, I said the funny thing is, remember when The Rock said that he wanted to do something like that, to take the power out of the judge's hands, and everybody hated the idea. The Rock suggested that. Not even him, even Lee Thompson said something like that when he was trying to create that new league. He was like, this should be a computer generated online voting thing. Like it's kind of like a
Fade it out, Keith.
what's my favorite show that I watch on TV? The Voice, or American Idol, or So You Think You Can Dance. At the end of the day, if the people are paying the money and watching this shit, they should have an input.
Yeah, but the
How
thing is,
crazy
like,
would that be?
the thing is, they didn't want to put it in the
Because
hands
here's the
of
thing:
the.
I've listened to somebody like Steve says, "Well, if it's Steve said, go ahead, George."
Well, what they didn't want to put it in the hands of the people because they feel like, especially like companies like the ISB and the NPC, they might get like think about it. It might vote for somebody like like not like maybe Zama Benta or somebody like Barbara Majan, a particular person they may not want as a champion. They might want Sarah to champion because what she's doing. They might want Natalia champion because of her look because she's young, she has a great look to her. But then if the people say, you know what, I'm getting tired of because people can be fickle and they say like, I'm getting tired of Sarah, I'm getting tired of Natalia. Let me go with this girl here. So they might want to go with somebody new. And then the idea is about what represents their brand the best. And it may not be that person. They want somebody who they can sell and push. Think about if they did that with think about it. There could be a chance that if they did that, then McKay Aycock could be Miss Olympia.
Well, it's like
True.
also Dorian Yates when he was a judge. He even said that he approached it mathematically. He didn't approach it according to personal sensibilities. Also, he had a short-lived Super League, which also, if you watched any of those episodes, what would be considered the pre-judging round, it was all measurements. Like they broke out the calipers and they measured your body. They measured your body density, and They approached it that way purely from a mathematical standpoint. I mean, it's so personal sensibility be damned. If you turn out to be the one with the lowest body fat, or you meet this certain criteria, and the machine declares, hey, this person is the highest probability, is the physique closest to that mathematically, that person wins. No personal sensibility involved, no subjectivity involved, because you're using math to do the judging. That's why I say that should be. That's why I say that should be considered, because the way that I see it, we could do that now. Just a question of whether or not they would want to step aside, which of course they probably wouldn't.
Like that, like the OG, as Jay-Z said best like this: men lie, women lie, numbers don't. And you put the numbers out and say you have somebody who has all the dimensions and all the figures and everything that works out that they are the person they want to choose to win that division. That's fair. But then you have some people complaining that, because people are complaining that machines taking jobs. Everybody's on the paranoid mindset of that it's going to be like Terminator 2. It's like Skynet woke up and is taking over the world. But
dude, it's a bodybuilding show. They're not in charge of the nuclear arsenal or anything like that.
I know that, but how some people are paranoid about shit. They like when sometimes I go shopping. I sometimes, if it's not too busy at the self checkout, I use self checkout. If it is the line self checkout, then I use the register with the person behind there, depending on how I'm feeling at the time. Which one's going to go faster? Which one takes time? Sometimes I might with self checkout. You always got to make sure you don't miss anything, and sometimes you make a mistake. You make sure you take some of the